Welcome, everyone. Good morning, noon, or evening, depending on where you are joining us from. I'm Dr. Bushra Anjum, and in my day job, I'm the Director of Data Science at Doximity. As a volunteer, I'm the Standing Committee's co-chair for ACM Women, and also the host for this ACM-W Celebrating Technology Leaders series. We designed this series to demystify careers in tech industry, especially for women. We discuss career options, career opportunities, and career challenges. In each episode, we invite women leaders who are successfully architecting their careers in computing. We celebrate their stories and we learn from their experiences. Today, we are focusing on the quantum computing realm, a relatively new yet extremely fascinating career track, and there are several questions worth exploring. And we have put together a fantastic panel for you. Before starting with our panel, a few logistical reminders. I will be facilitating the discussion for the first 45 minutes. Some of these questions are taken from those submitted by you at the time of registration. And the final 15 minutes are for live Q&A with our panelists. You can put forth your questions by typing them into the Q&A window and submitting. Feel free to write, feel free to write in and send your questions throughout the discussion. Thank you for spending the next hour with us here. We will make every effort to make it worth your time. Today, we have with us Maria Machelova. She's the principal quantum software engineer at Microsoft. We have Dr. Marlu Slot, who is the quantum materials researcher at NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and she's also the quantum lead at Womanium. We have Temitope Adeniji, a PhD student in quantum technologies and AI from Cleveland State University. And we have Denise Ruffner, a business development executive and also co-founder of Diversity in Computing. So let's learn about them from them. So panelists, question for all of you. Please tell us something about your background and how did you end up in the quantum computing field? We can start with Maria.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Maria Mikhailova, principal quantum software engineer at Microsoft Quantum. Originally, I'm a classically trained software engineer. And when I say classically trained, I don't mean violin and Latin. I mean a lot of math, a bit of software engineering, a surprising amount of physics. But when I did my studies, nothing was mentioned about quantum computing. So I learned that you can actually use this physics for computation much later, only after I joined the team. So I graduated as a classical software developer, spent a couple years back in Ukraine working in banking software industry, then moved to US to join Microsoft, but still in a classical software development capacity, working on infrastructure as part of Azure team. And then after about 4 years in Microsoft, I joined the Microsoft Quantum team. The first time we hired software engineers without quantum background and started learning quantum computing, and that's how I joined the industry.
Fascinating. And I loved your clarification. By classical, we don't mean classical musical instruments. Thank you. Marlo?
You don't want to have anything in common with me and a violin.
Marlo, please.
Yeah, I also started with classical piano, but ended up in the quantum world. Wonderful to meet you all. Great to be here. Thank you, Bushra. My name is Marlu Slot. I'm a quantum materials researcher at NIST, or actually the past year's quantum materials researcher, and nowadays diving into the world of quantum sensors. Sensors based on quantum systems or principles that can be applied right now for better timekeeping or for measuring magnetic fields induced by the brain better. In addition, I'm the lead at the Womanium Foundation, building the future quantum workforce. We have a yearly big summer program with more than 2,000 people each year, exposing everyone and training everyone in quantum technologies, computing, sensing, communication, hardware, software, applications. And I'm on the board of the Colorado Quantum Tech Hub, a consortium of the big ecosystem in quantum in Colorado. My journey, I'm trained as a physicist and have always been extremely interested in materials. became a comments matter physicist, and then joined the field of designer materials, which are analog quantum simulations where we move atoms one by one, put them in the spots we want to design new materials. And that is all analog. We move the atoms literally one by one. Next level will be a quantum computing doing that. So this is what got me interested. And we have been training 4,000 people the past years, looking forward to much more.
Fascinating. Moving atoms one by one and creating new materials. Wow. Temitope?
Oh, hi. So my name is Temitope Adeniyi. I'm really excited to be here. I'm presently a PhD student at Cleveland State University, and my research is majorly on applying artificial intelligence in quantum technologies like quantum computing and quantum sensing. I actually also have a background in physics for my 2 previous degrees, and I started out as a STEM educator, where I had a center where I trained kids on STEM-related concepts like coding, robotics, and design. So during my master's degree, I learned Python. So I used that to work as a data scientist and a junior machine learning engineer for a while. It was during my MSc thesis, I was trying to explore statistical prediction, predicting the material properties. So, and I started to learn more about advanced topic in machine learning. And that was how I heard about quantum computing, and I became fascinated. So my transition into quantum computing was gradual, but it was deliberate. I began attending workshops, seminars, and programs like Womanium that Malu mentioned. And since then, I actually got an opportunity after then to go fully into research on quantum computing and artificial intelligence. So yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing. Denise?
So thank you, Bushra, for inviting me and being very patient. I've been traveling out of the country and I kept on canceling every meeting scheduled. So thank you. My name is Denise Ruffner. I've worked in business development for a lot of companies, and now I'm doing consulting also for companies in the area of business. So my background is I'm a biologist. And still love biology, but joined quantum computing very early on at IBM, where I was part of the quantum team when we put the first computer on the cloud, and then ended up being in charge of the ambassador program, among many other responsibilities, where I trained 350 people across the company to speak accurately about quantum. So we strove to be very accurate and not say it's going to cure cancer in 6 months or anything wild like that. And from there, I've worked at several startups. And as I said, now I'm doing consulting. The interesting thing is along the way, as I moved to business roles, I would get inundated, and that's not a negative, by women calling me saying, help me with my career. And it was so overwhelming that I started a group called Women in Quantum, and we grew to 10,000 people. And then late last year, I was approached by some people who wanted to change Women in Quantum to diversity in quantum. And so we're morphing Women in Quantum to include diverse groups and provide a way to support them, help them through problems. We have a mentoring program in progress, as well as we're going to have scholarships to help people attend meetings locally. So it's a really exciting time. The new organization is Diversity in Quantum, or divvyq.org. So check us out.
Thank you, Denise. And yeah, thank you for all the work that you do for DVQ. We'll, of course, explore more of that as well. Since you mentioned speaking accurately about quantum, let me ask you, what kind of problems are quantum computers, either today or tomorrow, are particularly good at solving? What's the hype about?
Well, the other scientists on the call may argue with me. I will say that we can believe that quantum computing will be good at solving certain problems. I don't think it's really proven, but we can talk about that. And the area of problems that most excites me for potential is in the area of drug screening and personalized medicine. So areas with a lot of compute where something like quantum computing could really help out.
Thank you so much. Any other panelists would like to add to that?
Okay, for me, I would say problems that require high-dimensional data sets, because I worked a bit on machine learning, classical machine learning, and when the problem becomes so huge and it becomes so interesting, classical machines actually cannot solve them. So there's a promise, as she said, a promise that with algorithms like quantum machine learning implemented on quantum computers, we'll be able to apply it to things like drug discovery, portfolio management, and also processing large sensor data sets that are very huge.
Quantum computing is based on quantum. That makes it ideally suited for problems that have a quantum nature. For example, molecules, which means designing new fertilizers, drug discovery, as Denise mentioned. And indeed, we are not there yet, but when the hardware would be in place, this would be great potential areas. In addition, optimization, this is already being done also using quantum annealers, port optimization, airports, route optimization, also finances. So these are all areas we look into.
And broadly speaking, without talking about a specific kind of algorithm, I would say that we expect that algorithms with small data and big compute are going to be the ones most suited for the computation. Based on how quantum algorithms work, it can be very expensive to get the data in the quantum system to process it. Then there is a lot of processing power, but then there is another bottleneck. The way you get the information out of the system is extremely limiting for your algorithms. I like an analogy somebody gifted me, that it's like trying to drink an ocean through a straw. You get a lot of information in your system, but you can only get tiny little bits of it. So these kind of problems, using chemistry as a great example, are going to be best suited for quantum computing, we expect.
Nice. The ocean with a straw kind of problems. I love that analogy. Thank you, Maria. Since I have this fascinating panel with me, and we have a lot of people who are joining live or might be watching later who are beginners in the field, so let's do a fun exercise. Let me share a quantum computing term with each of you, and your challenge is to explain it to our audience in as non-technical terms as possible, what it means in the quantum computing area. So, Maria, your term is quantum superposition. Marlo, your term is quantum entanglement. Temitope, your term is quantum tunneling. And Denise, your term is quantum coherence. We can start with Maria. Superposition.
Quantum superposition, I would say, is a phenomenon that says that quantum systems can be in linear superpositions of classically described states. Like usually, if you read a resource, a popular science resource, is going to tell you that it's the way systems can be in multiple states at once. And it's a personal pet peeve of mine not to say that under any circumstances. Because if, for example, this hand, would you say that it's horizontal and vertical at the same time? You wouldn't, right? It's at a specific angle, but it's not horizontal and it's not vertical. Very similar for quantum systems.
Loved it. Marlo?
Yes, and now when quantum particles get entangled, they are not independent anymore. So the quantum states of both are link to each other. And that means if I have a quantum particle, let's say a photon, and it is entangled with another photon, I give one to Elon Musk and send it to Mars. Then if I look at my quantum particle here, and I see it's in a certain state, let's say in a yes, and then I can know that the other one is in a no. So this is a very special property that we exploit in many ways.
Very cool. Temitope, tunneling?
Okay, so imagine you went on a hiking trip and you have a mountain or a hill, which is a barrier in front of you, and you want to go to the other side. So in classical computing, it's like you are climbing over the hill. You go up the hill and down to the other side. It's a bit of effort, but you get there. But in quantum tunneling, it's like you're having that magical ability just to pass through the mountain instead of going over it. So it's as if you can teleport from one side to the other side without having to deal with the top of the mountain at all. And that is what we call tunneling. So in quantum computing, this spooky ability let us use tiny bit of information sneak through obstacles that it shouldn't be able to pass. So it's like a secret passage that traditional computers do not have. And it helps quantum computer to process information in a super cool and efficient way. And it makes them way faster than regular computers for certain tasks. So yeah.
Great. I love all the analogies coming in. Denise?
So I've been asked to discuss quantum coherence. And it's an important topic that customers ask about when they're looking at a quantum computer. And quantum coherence is something that you want a good quantum coherence. And it's the duration of the qubit. And it's a way to make quality comparisons between qubits. So coherence tells us something about how long a qubit retains its information. And this kind of tells you a little bit something about the lifetime of the information. And it's a very important consideration when you look at a computer and how it's going to perform.
Nice. Thank you for that. As I was preparing for this panel, I'm a beginner in the field as well. And all these terminologies were just coming my way, and they were explained with even more tough terminology. I was like, what's going on? Thank you so much for demystifying these concepts for us. Temitope, let's continue the discussion with you. So I, as a beginner, I grasped the concept that in classical computers, we have a bit that could have two states. In quantum computers, we have a qubit that with some atomic magical can have more than two states, fine. But then we also hear that qubits are not stable. What does that mean?
Okay, yeah, I think that was what Dennis was trying to say, that there is decoherence. So when we talk about qubits are not stable, so you have a friend who is really good at stacking books. It's very super easy to manage. But imagine that friend is trying to stack spinning balls while dancing. That is very tricky. A wrong move or disturbance can interfere. And in the world of computing, this disturbance means something different. So think of it this way. You have a mobile phone call. It can suffer from electronic noise such that your calls break up. So qubits, the building block of quantum computers, can also get disrupted. So these qubits are super sensitive to their surrounding, such that a small thing like change in temperature, electromagnetic signal from Wi-Fi, or even disturbance in the Earth's magnetic field can make them displace. And this disturbance can mess with their special quantum state. So in that sense, the information kept in them can be lost. So just like how the sound quality of a phone call is disturbed, the information in a qubit can also be disturbed. So that's just what we mean by qubits are not stable, such that they can lose their form, lose their information. And this is a very big problem in quantum computing, actually, and is what is called error correction, because scientists are trying to find a way such that qubits are stable. It's a very, very big field. And by the time scientists are able to get like a way to correct errors or stability in qubits, I think by then we can say we now have a good quantum computers.
Thank you for sharing that. Just a quick follow-up. Where are we in terms of number of states with qubits, like even experimentally, 3, 4, 10, 100?
I think we now have about 270 qubits with IBM,
Wow.
right? Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Denise, coming back to you, since you have experience with the business side of this as well, what are some of the hurdles towards a faster progression and adoption of quantum computing?
So there's really two issues. I think one of them is bigger and more important than the other, which is the size of the quantum computer. And along with the size, we look at the quality of the qubits. How good are they? Look at coherence time, look at a couple errors. So there's a lot of different factors. You can't just say, I have a 10-qubit computer and Merit Lou has a 10-qubit quantum computer and they're the same. So there's a lot of differences. And so quantum computing is still, in my mind, a physics research project. And it's still developing, and there's still a lot of innovation that we all read about every week in the paper or, online. So for me to see kind of big adoption of quantum computing, computers need to advance, as well as companies, I'm going to say, need to be a little bit more open towards trying this technology and understanding that this technology is going to take time. But the time they spend on it now, learning about it, is really important so that as the technology grows, they can take advantage of it. And in fact, take advantage of it before their competitors.
Nicely said. And Marlo, let me come to you because you work at the institute that creates standards for technology. What, in your opinion, are some of the hurdles?
Yes, great question. And I agree with you, Denise. I will answer the question from my own perspective and also a recent QEDC report, the Quantum Economic Development Consortium, showed when will industry really adopt it? And it answered what we all thought, namely, if it increases revenue, if it improves the efficiency of their processes. That means if quantum computers can really give a practical advantage, yes, then everyone would adopt it. How to get there? Indeed, the hardware is the bottleneck. The size of the quantum computers, Atom Computing came out recently with an announcement that they have 1,000 qubits, which is a great progress, but we are not there yet. We need to get much bigger. We need to have very high quality of qubits. How to get there? We need to build the workforce. We need to have people to work on it. There needs to be enough funding to push all of this forward. Startups there need to be really low barriers for them to get out of the academic labs and make tech transfer happen. Then, as Denise also mentioned, industry can start adopting this, preparing themselves for the moment when quantum computers give that advantage. Also, lowering barriers in terms of equipment. If we would have shared lab facilities, making it much easier for young researchers, for startups, to do this highly advanced research with a low barrier, all of these efforts would greatly accelerate the push towards a practical advantage for quantum computing.
Thank you for sharing that. And since we are discussing the future and that we are not there yet and we are working towards that future vision, and it's more in the research realm, Maria, let me come to you. Do you think there are any practical applications of quantum computing today, or is it mostly the promise of the future we are after?
As Denise and Marlou already subtly hinted, right now we are still in the promise for the future phase. We need our quantum computers to be much larger, much less noisy, and allow us to run much longer programs than they can do right now to achieve our first practical advantages. And we expect that those advantages would be in the quantum chemistry, in the material simulation, in this kind of areas.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. And I think this is a perfect time to take up a couple of quick audience questions. So one question is about this quantum entanglement, as we were talking about it. Does it mean that it will allow us to transfer information faster than the speed of light? Any thoughts by any panelists? Most welcome.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. So the change of state involved in that entanglement facilitates when one of the entangled particles is measured. That one happens instantaneously, but to actually transfer information, so to transfer the information that one party had in mind and the other party now can interpret. For that one, you need to additionally send some classical information, which means you're still limited by the speed at which you can send classical information.
Thank you for answering that. And then I have to ask this question. Do we know if time works differently in quantum realm? I think it came from some of the Marvel fans. Or we don't know yet. Any thoughts or comments? If you don't know, that's fine too. Let's keep the mystery alive.
Let's use quantum to measure time really well. And that is how time has been measured the past 70 years now. Here at NIST in Boulder, we have big atomic clocks that set the time standards for the US based on quantum, based on cesium atoms in there. And that is how our GPS works based on that. And right now we are miniaturizing these quantum sensors. So these clocks are the oldest quantum sensors, and we're miniaturizing them. So you could have one in your computer, in your car, in your pocket to take with you and have great timekeeping based on quantum.
Nice. That's keeping your time in your pocket, whether you are underwater or in the skies or on the land. That's great, that kind of accuracy. Marlo, let me continue with you. So we talked about some of the promises. Let's talk about some of the cautions. Do you think there are some threats and some challenges or some ethical considerations as we work more in this and advance more in the quantum computing realm?
Unfortunately, always. One is the question of access and democratizing science and quantum. Can we make not only the education, but also quantum computers accessible to researchers and everyone everywhere? Then we talked about a lot of important and good problems to solve. But of course, there are also problems we might be able to solve better that can be used for bad purposes. And the main one is encryption. Encryption is based on hard mathematical puzzles. And one puzzle that is classically really hard to solve is factoring a number into two large prime numbers. Now it turns out that Shor's algorithm, which in the future could be executed on a quantum computer, is great at solving this mathematical problem, which would break our RSA encryption. And this means that right now we need to search for alternatives that are safe for not only the classical computers, but also for quantum computers. And this is an area called post-quantum cryptography. It is an area in which NIST is at the very forefront, defining the new encryption standards for the quantum age. So this is a threat, but we don't need to be scared of it now. We just need to act now to create the quantum safe encryption standards for the future. The drafts just came out this summer for 3. You can share input until next week. Take a look. This is a very important area and also important for industry to start adopting.
Start early and be prepared. Maria, anything that you would like to add?
I like to think about the threats of quantum computing when I have to think about them. Obviously, I don't like to think about them. Similar to those posed by the modern AI, but slightly further away in the future. Because if there is a potential, for example, for discovering a new material, it doesn't matter which technology you're using. Are you using some sophisticated AI or quantum computing, you have to think about similar things. So it's important to understand what kinds of problems quantum computing can solve, not just the good ones, but also potentially the bad ones, and take care around that additionally. But other than that, I would say it's similar to potential perils of any sufficiently sophisticated technology.
So if I could just add something,
Please.
since I'm on the business side, the threat of being able to break today's current encryption is a big one, but it depends on mature quantum computers. And so the issue is always, when do you start? It's great that NIST has published standards, and they will be publishing more standards. We also have to know that most big companies or hospitals or whatever, it really takes a long time to change how they do their security. And so it's generally, I'm going to say, a 5-year project, and they need to budget for it. It's not inexpensive. And so these are some of the challenges that businesses have today, is kind of looking at, what is the future? When do I plan to do this? How can I protect our business? Because there will be a timeline when all of a sudden one day the computers are great, and hopefully the company will have updated their security so it doesn't impact them.
And even before that, because the data harvested now can be decrypted later.
That's a good point. And so there's a lot of data harvesting that we believe is done, and that people just put the data in a safe, or somewhere safe. And that way, when a quantum computer is ready, they can go back into that safe and take that data and then open it up. So it is a big threat.
Yeah. Thank you for that discussion. That I learned a few things about quantum encryption and then data harvesting. That's great. And I agree with what Denise is saying, that having standards is one part of the equation and the other is adoption, and that takes its own timeline. So the sooner the companies and businesses start on that, the better position they will be in the future. It's changing gears a little bit. I know all 4 of you have been involved in training the next generation of quantum computing professionals. Some of you have been teaching, some of you have these programs started. Denise has DiviQ. So question for all of you, how can we build and nourish the quantum computing talent? Let's start with Temitope.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's very important to involve students right from a young age. It's very important. They might not start the practical implementation of this concept, but they can just learn how this, what this concept mean and how they can apply it to the real world. So our group here at Cleveland State University under Dr. Kumar, and we've been working actively to increase the engagement of both high school and undergraduates in quantum computing. Last summer, together with Qubit by Qubit, we actually had a workshop for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, where we organized a quantum computing workshop for high school students. And we went them, they had a tour at the IBM quantum computer at Cleveland Clinic, where we showed them what we're doing and the number of qubits we're working with presently. And this Friday also, we're having a panel session for more high school students on quantum machine learning. And this is all just to increase the engagement right from high school. So we also collaboratively published a technical paper in the just concluded 2023 IEE Quantum Week. And the paper is just a curriculum for a quantum machine learning course for an undergraduate computer science degree. It's detailed with resources, week by week topics, and every starting point for an undergraduate to learn quantum computing and quantum machine learning. And we hope that we'll be able to do more initiatives such that even right from high school, students will be able to engage or learn about quantum computing.
Starting as early as high school. Great. When will the paper be available for public to read?
It will be available by December.
December. We will be, fingers crossed, we'll be waiting to read that up and get more information, learn from that. Maria?
So Broadly speaking, what do I do? What I don't do. I really love engaging with the community and helping people learn it, helping them make it exciting, hopefully. One of my first projects actually in the Microsoft Quantum team was the Quantum Katas, a tool for people to learn quantum computing and immediately try to apply what they learned to solving small problems and implementing their solutions right away and getting them validated. You all know it's really important to be able to apply your learnings as soon as possible and to get feedback on them, especially for somebody who is learning on their own, who doesn't have access to a professor or an expert. Very often they don't have this source of feedback. After that, I did a fair amount of different education and outreach work with Microsoft Quantum. I switched to fault-tolerant algorithms recently, but I still do a lot of things in my personal time. I teach a course at Northeastern University for a couple of years now. I love mentoring, and a lot of programs from Denise is actually Women in Quantum. I had a couple mentees as part of that program. To mentoring with University of Washington. Two teams of my mentees presented their work a couple months ago at IEEE Quantum Week. I'm very proud of that. That was the first time my mentees presented their work at a conference. And now I'm mentoring a couple teams with Quantum Open Source Foundation mentorship program. And I love writing books. I published my first one summer 2022, Q# Pocket Guide for those who want to learn this specific Q# programming language. And now I'm writing my second one, which hopefully will go into early access with Manning in December. It's about learning quantum programming on more in-depth projects. I like to think about it as a perfect second book on quantum computing. Once you have learned the basics, what's your bridge to doing more complicated project? What do you have to learn before you can jump into research papers?
Nice. And is that the title of your first or second book behind you on the mantle? It says Q#.
The first one.
First, all right. Now, I will certainly be ordering Q# for learning the basics and myself getting started here. Marlo, and then we'll come to Denise.
Yes, and can't wait, Maria. Really great. I will share about two initiatives I'm heavily involved in from the Womanium Foundation and the Colorado Quantum Tech Hub. Around 2 years ago, I have a quantum background myself, and I got in touch with the two founders of the Womanium Foundation based in DC, Prachi Vakaria and Shavin Raj. The Womanium Foundation is focused on creating the new leaders in next technology. What will be big in 10 to 15 years, and can we train people who are young in it now so they can become the leaders in 10 to 15 years? And we saw there is a big demand for quantum computing to create educational material on. There was a lot available in the quantum programming software realm, but myself having a hardware background, and that is actually where the bottleneck is, we decided to design a program where you don't only where you don't only code and program, but with a big emphasis on hardware as well, all the different qubit modalities and the applications that people are then able to communicate to others. There was a big demand for it because it was not available elsewhere. Also at universities, if you take a quantum course, often it is still quantum mechanics, the way, I think all of us had it years ago. It hasn't changed much. And I hope that this will change the next years. But for now, there is a very big need for these initiatives. And that also showed in our participant numbers. We told 2,000 people last year, 2,600 this year, including 45% women, which is very high, extremely rare in our, in this STEM field. So I invite everyone to join such initiatives, and also the people who work in physics and fields to start to modernize the curriculum so that eventually there won't be a need for this anymore. Then here in Colorado, I'm currently based out of NIST Boulder. A new quantum tech hub is starting. There is very strong hardware, quantum hardware industry here, in addition to a big university system. But not only universities, there are also community colleges and high schools where there is already an interest. And the education, in my opinion, should be broad. We should, as Temitope also mentioned, start early to inspire young people, enter STEM. Boys, girls, quantum is for everyone, doesn't distinguish. And then there are so many different kinds of jobs. You don't need a PhD. People with the skills to become a car mechanic, for example, they could be very good at building dilution refrigerators. I know someone who used to solder in the music industry. She used to solder keyboards, and now she is building dilution refrigerators. So it is very wide. There will be jobs for many types of people, and we need to reflect this in the educational system at high schools, community colleges, universities, and join forces to put it into the curriculum.
Nice. And you mentioned Womanium. Can anyone join that org online?
Yes,
Okay.
most welcome really to everyone. We finished the second edition of the Quantum Computing, Sensing and Communication program this August. Very successful, with people not only learning, but then teaching others.
Nice.
Because if we have 2,000 people and each of them teaches 5 people, then 10,000 people know about it. So now I receive the pictures, the videos of this ripple effect of quantum going over the world. And the next edition will be upcoming summer, again, very broad. So everyone becomes exposed to as many topics as possible, and then you can find your own way in education, internships. And we also organize projects with industry, our Quantum Solutions Launchpad, working with national labs and with companies. So this is a launchpad for industry to enter quantum, but also for you to join the quantum field professionally.
Nice. Denise, please tell us about DVQ, and before that, the Women in Computing group you had.
Okay, so what I've been doing is working with people on their careers. And so whether it's an undergraduate wondering what they should do next, or a graduate student, or a postdoc, or even a professor, people have a lot of questions about the different parts of the industry. So what's it like being in business development or marketing or program management, or doing the science and the engineering? And so what our group does is work with people to understand what their goals are and maybe what a pathway could be. But generally the pathway is, what is the next step? And so we have a lot of people that come to us and go, I want to work at Google. And it's like, well, why don't you finish your first year of graduate school first? And, then we'll move on. So we really try to help people and support them and give them a network of, if it's women or any of the other minority groups, so that they feel supported. I know when I was in graduate school, I was the only woman and I felt a little isolated. And so we're trying to remove that isolation and give people a chance to network and feel a little more comfortable and feel like I can call Maria or Marlu or someone and say, help me, help me. So that's really what we do in Women in Quantum and diversity in quantum. And so it's very career oriented. And we also do internships. We also do these scholarships where we help people travel to meetings. But I think most important is helping people create a network of their own so that they have people they can rely on and not feel so isolated as the only woman or the only gay person in a program.
That's great. And the same question I had for Marlo. Can anyone join DVQ online?
Yeah, it's open to everyone. We have a really big deal that we're inclusive. We want everybody to feel welcome. We do have a code of conduct like all groups have, and everybody's welcome. There's no membership fee. We are a charity and we have several companies supporting us. So it's a great free program, and we have periodic summits where different people talk about what their career is and kind of the questions you ask. How were they drawn into quantum? What are they doing? That sort of thing.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure our audience will appreciate that. And it came up in the chat as well. So all the discussion that happens in our panels, not only this, but others as well, we do follow up with details and links and summaries in our ACM Women newsletter. So you are very welcome to sign up for that. And that way you will have a resource at hand. Taking a few of the audience questions. Okay, this one is interesting. Is it possible to prove that one is interacting with a quantum computer versus a good simulation on a classical computer? Anyone?
Maria? Or
Okay, yeah, Maria could take that.
Do it better,
Sure.
people will care. Go ahead, Maria.
So from practical point of view, simulations on a quantum computer can only simulate very small programs. So you need to ask it questions that require a big enough computer. And then if it solves them, then you probably have a quantum computer. Also, if you cannot tell a difference, doesn't really matter. If it can solve the problems that you want to solve, it doesn't matter whether it's quantum or classical.
I
So
agree.
our goal is to have them solve problems.
Yeah.
And when quantum computers really surpass classical computers for some purposes, yeah, then this question becomes obsolete. And also the question about the adoption becomes obsolete.
Yeah. So I'll add to that. So presently, good simulation in classical computer is actually still better than quantum computers, because some of the machine learning algorithms that give us a very high accuracy in classical algorithms like computers, you can have as high as 99% using your classical computers. Using quantum computers, we still have very low accuracy. So for now, yeah, good simulation in classical computers might be better, but we believe in the future, that won't be any question. Like for some tasks or some problems, quantum computers will be far better.
Nice. Another question. What would be the 2 to 3 main areas of R&D growth in quantum computing? Let's say someone wants to get into graduate studies that are related to quantum computing. Which areas can they expect to work on? Anyone?
So actually, there are a lot of areas in quantum computing. As I said, there's quantum machine learning. Quantum machine learning is just the quantum side of classical machine learning. So classical machine learning, where you use machine learning to predict properties of things. So you have the quantum side, where you try to write quantum algorithms that can run on quantum computers. So we have quantum computing itself, we have quantum sensing. I'm actually working on quantum sensing and quantum machine learning. So it's just building quantum sensors. So basically, a lot of things we have in classical parts, we can have them also in quantum side. So there are a lot of aspects, and these aspects are technical, and we have non-technical aspects that are actually coming up, like ethics in quantum. You can actually decide to go into that. They are non-technical field.
Anyone else would like to add?
Sure, I'll add from a business point of view that those of you that I'm, selling business here, but those of you that are interested in program management, or you're a good writer, a science writer, there's all sorts of opportunities in quantum. I think people hear the word quantum and run away screaming like, it's too hard, it's too hard. But what I recommend to people is to watch a lot of the videos, come to conferences or seminars like this, and gain some familiarity. And then they have a lot they can offer companies. And one of the things I like about startups is they're like, all right, who's going to do this? We need to get this done. and you get a lot of new experiences. And this even happened to me at IBM, and I know this has happened to Maria at Microsoft. But, they come up and they say, who's going to do this project? And you say, okay, I will. And it's always great because you learn more. So I would say, don't be scared by quantum. Look at what you know how to do well and see how you can apply that towards helping build this great industry.
I would like to add that really people from all different backgrounds will be needed or are needed now in the quantum industry, and for quantum computing, but also for quantum sensing, for quantum materials, for quantum communication. Quantum sensors being the ones that are commercialized right now for timekeeping, for medical purposes. And we need mechanical engineers. And as a mechanical engineer, you don't need to know much quantum to do this. Electrical engineers, mathematicians, people with a business background, people with communication skills or background, really all types of backgrounds are needed. And for many, you just need a tiny bit quantum literacy that you can definitely do. And then this field is ready to join for you.
Very cool.
If
Please
we
go ahead.
want to have three, also that's like asking to pick three favorite kinds of desserts. I would say that quantum hardware working on the devices of different kinds and getting to the point at which our computers are big enough and noiseless enough. Quantum error correction, I think, is going to be really big in the upcoming several years, decades. We'll see. Because we need to have noise levels that are even lower than what we can get physically, which means we need to do error correction, representing logical qubits as multiple physical qubits, increasing the required size of our computers, but also allowing them to run longer computations. And the third one, of course, quantum algorithms. We want to know what problems we can solve. We want to know what problems are those small input, big compute, small output problems, and the specific algorithms to solve them, because we don't want to find ourselves with those massive quantum devices and no problems to solve on them. That would not be efficient. But then, as our other speakers said, there are plenty of other roles that don't require in-depth studies, a PhD in one of those areas, including, for example, software engineer. As a classically trained software engineer, I can vouch for that with great success.
Nice. And just building on that, and I think Marlo hinted towards that as well when she said we need people from all backgrounds. Temitope, since you are a graduate student currently, do you think to get into the quantum computing, it's possible for fresh undergraduate, maybe computer science students to embark on that journey, or having specific subjects or maybe a graduate degree is important?
Yeah, so I believe a fresh computer science undergraduates already has what they already have what they need to go into quantum computing, like a solid foundation in mathematics. That's the technical aspects, like including linear algebra, probability. These all have been taught in an undergraduate computer science course. So, and these are the essential skills for a person to succeed in a quantum computing field, including computer programming. So although a graduate degree can provide in-depth knowledge and specialization, but there are a lot of many entry-level roles too that they can learn on the field, experience a lot of things in quantum computing, and also learn on the field. So I believe an undergraduate in computer science can actually succeed in a quantum computing role, especially if they take an entry-level course and learn on the job. So yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Maria?
Yeah, I actually don't need to have faith in this fact. I have a wonderful success story along these lines. We had a student in the University of Washington course that my manager, Krista Sworry, taught several years back. She was an undergraduate student. She took only that one introductory quantum computing course. Then she went on to do an internship with our team because we liked her so much. And then as soon as she graduated the undergrad studies, she went ahead to join our team because we liked her so much. So she spent several years working on Q# compiler with us. And now I believe she's pursuing her graduate studies.
Oh, we celebrate her journey with you. A quick note for my audience. So we will continue with our discussion, but I do have a request. I have this very, very brief feedback form that I have just posted in chat. It will not take more than 2 minutes of your time. I designed it to keep it very concise, but it will help me to see how the panel went, if you learned anything, what are the future topics you want to discuss. And also I would say that these panel discussions are more geared towards being beginner friendly. So I did see a couple of research intensive questions come into the chat, but this is not the right forum to discuss those. You're very welcome to reach out to the panelists via LinkedIn, and then you can continue the discussion there. All right, coming back to the panel. So we are in the wrap-up phase. So would you please share one concrete suggestion how our viewers can continue to learn more and grow in the field of quantum computing? Temitope, we can start from you.
Okay, so for me, I really emphasize joining a community, like being part of a community and learning from that community. I'm actually part of the Women in Quantum and Diversity in Quantum community. And the Womanium community also, I'm a product of the Women Quantum Computing Summer Program. And I can't talk about my growth in quantum without mentioning the huge role these communities played in my life, especially Womanium. And it's during the last, that was 2022, Quantum Computing Summer Program, I had a lot of access to resources, people, lectures, and it actually helped fuel my passion in quantum. All of this free of charge. And thanks to Malu and her team. And sometimes even when I want to get an idea, I go back to the Discord page or past videos and just watch them all over again. And there are also other great initiatives like the Coding School Qubit by Qubit. So they are also beginner friendly. I was the lead facilitator for their initiative here in Cleveland. So where we trained high school teachers that are teaching computer science subjects and also faculty at Cleveland State University and Cleveland Clinic on quantum computing. And another one is Quantum Intern by Qword. I was a mentor for their summer internship program, and it's also very beginner friendly, but it's more research intensive. They build algorithms and try to publish a paper on each of their projects. So one of the group designed a photonic sensor for biological application, and another group designed a machine learning algorithm that's a quantum generative adversarial network. It's just for reproducing medical images and also detecting disease in medical image. So this are very good community where people can learn from and can grow with, and you have access to mentors that can actually help you as you grow. So yeah, community is what I would say.
Love it, love it. The focus on being part of a community. Marlo?
Yes, dive into it now and don't hesitate. It might seem daunting at the beginning, but it's very excited to really get into. Indeed, join a community, join a beginner level course. This could, for example, be by Qworld. Also, the whole Womanium videos are on YouTube, not only on software, but also on hardware and applications. And then if you're interested in the software side, start to build your own portfolio and display it on GitHub. Collaborate with others. You learn a lot and it makes it more fun. Do internships. And if you're interested in the hardware side, there it is also very wide. Different quantum technologies, but also enabling technology like lasers, like dilution refrigerators. These will be critical for the quantum age, and you can strongly contribute there as well.
Great advice. Denise?
I think one piece of advice that I'll give out is that quantum is a broad topic, and I think just taking the first step and looking around and see what appeals to you and going after that is the way to start. And then along the way, there'll be different opportunities offered to you, and go for it. I just think that there's a lot you can do. I try never to have this mindset that I'm just going to do this. I try to look at, what do I want now? What do I want to learn now? But as different things come up, I try to be really open to learning new things and not trying to think about it too much, but just taking the opportunity to learn more. So I would just tell everybody listening, take that first step, listen to some videos, look at the different organizations, see what fits your calendar, and really just start. I think what do they say? I don't know. The first step is, I don't know, what is it?
It's the hardest, perhaps.
The,
Yeah.
the hardest step of a big journey is the first step. And I'm screwing up that quote entirely, but I think that that's really, I think, what all of us here in the panel is encouraging. If this is remotely interesting, take that first step, try something. If it doesn't work, try something else. But keep that in your heart. And there's a lot of different things that you can learn and that are really interesting.
Great. And I love your quote too. Just start now. That's great. Last but not the least, Maria.
I would hate to repeat anything somebody already said, so I'm going to augment it. I'm personally more of a tinkerer, and I kind of like to try and do something before I start talking to people about it. Talking to strangers is hard. Ask me how I know. So if you don't know anything about quantum computing, you probably want to start by learning a little bit about it. And if you are at heart a tinkerer, I just learn better by trying to do something than by watching videos. Here is a link to my first project, the Quantum Katas, that allow you to try this, learn the basics, and then immediately try to apply them manner. Or, of course, absolutely any other learning resource that works for you. Some people like videos, some people like just working from a blank page, whatever works for you.
Great, thank you. Please, go ahead.
Yeah. Also, if we compare with AI, now AI is big and some people start learning AI now, but then in a way you're late to the game. With quantum, it is not big yet, it is the start. And if you start learning about it now, you will be ahead of many others and you will experience this whole wave. So I would like to share that this is the time to join quantum and start learning about it, and you will be ahead and ride that whole wave.
I don't think I could have said better parting words. And that was one of the motivation behind this panel as well, that the time to learn and start is now, so that we are ready for the future. Thank you so much, panelists, Temitope, Marlu, Maria, and Denise, for sharing your time, your knowledge, your stories, your guidance with us. And for our audience, we announce our upcoming panels on both our ACM Women website and ACM Women newsletter. So I do hope that you enjoyed the discussion here. Please do fill the feedback form, and I hope to see you in a future panel discussion as well. Right. Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you. Join us on LinkedIn.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah.